Hello and thank you for tuning in to 90.4 Oman FM. This is Sara Lawati and today I am joined by Ms. Najah Al Rashdi, the Director General of Innovation Center at the Ministry of Higher Education, Research and Innovation, to talk about how research and innovation contributes to the development of Oman. Thank you for joining us today, Ms. Najah.
Thank you. That's Sarah. Pleasure to be here.
So I wanted to start off this interview by asking, what is the significance of research and innovation here in Oman?
Yeah. Okay, so first maybe we can say that research and innovation, not just in Oman, but we can notice that all of the countries, whether developed countries or which are under development, all of them are really focusing on research and innovation. For one important thing is that research and innovation is not a destination, maybe. The research innovation is the tool or the arm for any country to reach to where it wants to reach its destination. What are the goals? For example, if any country, regardless of which area they're focusing on, they would want to be ranked at the higher level. They would like to be, especially the areas of technology and their infrastructure, they would like all those areas to be in an advanced stage. So the tool to reach to their destination will always be R&D, research and development. So therefore, Oman has also focused on research and development earlier in 2005, where there was a royal decree of establishing the first research unit in Oman. That was the research unit in Sultan Qaboos University. Before that, and then in 2005, the Research Council was established, and it was where we started with, first of all, awareness, especially in the academic area, because all the universities were mostly academic universities, meaning that they were just having the theory, the lectures, purely academia colleges. So we wanted them to focus on research as well and start doing research. And slowly that started by the Research Council funding research to those areas in the universities. And then, of course, learning from other countries and the other developed countries, how they have become at the top of the index of the innovation index. We've got the GII, which is the Global Innovation Index, annually trying to find out the most developed countries. And there are, of course, criteria of how to be there. There are inputs and outputs for those indexes. So Oman started from that time to see how can we strengthen our inputs and our outputs to be ranked also among those top countries. For different reasons. Is for us first to reach to our vision, and for us to have more of investors wanting to invest in Oman, and because this index is related very much to the economy of any country. So it was very important for us to really put more effort into strengthening those inputs with which are, for example, funding or investing in R&D. Also, there's so many factors that can make us either be at the top, or if we just relax, we will go back, because all the other countries are trying their best also to remain at the top. So it's like a race that we try every year to be at least among those countries. And we have put that as a mark for us, a goal for 2040 to be among the top 20 countries in innovation in the world. So that's like a big challenge for us. But the amount of effort that have been done throughout the past years until now, I think we are heading there to be one of those top countries. And of course, like I said, it will make Oman more attractive for investment. We will have our economy being more diversified, and this is what we wanted long back. So R&D will be like the tool or the arm that will help us and any other country to be able to reach their destinations. You need development, you need research, you need technology to be able to reach to where you want now.
Yeah, it's so great to see how much work and effort is being put into developing this area in Oman. And you did mention how these entities evolved to become what we are today. Now, I wanted to ask you, what is Innovation Park Muscat?
Innovation Park Muscat is the first technology and research city in Oman. Of course, Oman, one of the efforts that we have really put our focus on is to be like the other developed countries. So to be able to be like the other developed countries, we need to know what they have done to be the same. So there were several visits to those countries, and what they noticed is having those research and technology parks. Technology and science parks are a very powerful way to have all the researchers and innovators work together in one area, learn from each other, and develop the knowledge and utilize the knowledge in order to solve the challenges of the country. So we thought if we wanted to be the same, we need to have that park as well. So this was the first, you can say, a prototype of a park, an innovation park in Oman, where we would like to serve all the knowledge producers and the knowledge utilizers in one place. You need to have a community of all the players in one place, because there is no point of having different activities that serve innovation but in different places, fragmented efforts. So we wanted a place where everyone could be together and learn from each other and have a valuable output out of it, instead of having repeated efforts in different areas. So the Innovation Park Muscat, actually, we've done with the first phase now. We've got the innovation building, the biggest innovation, the first building, which is the innovation building, and we are renting it out for the entities who have innovation and research activities. It's almost now 95% occupied, or fully booked and utilized by those entities. We're waiting for them to just join in, probably throughout this year. And then we have also lands, plots, which we give them for by usufruct agreements. So they take it for like 25 years, extendable for other 25 years and another 25 years. We've got incentives for investors. We had a royal decree in 2019, it's 27 by 2019, where it mentions that the research, the science parks are free zones. And because it's a free zone, so you get more incentives for investors to take plots there. So they have it for very low prices annually. Like the land, you can have it for 2 riyals only per meter annually. We provide all the infrastructure services, the roads, the lightings, everything is there, security, and tax-free exemption from the tax for 5 years, and it's extended for another 2 periods of 5 years as well. And many other incentives, and we are working on the legislation now, the regulations for the park, We have many interests from different parts to come and build their own centers in our park, but because we are very focused into that it has to be a research and innovation based, because we don't want it to be as a real estate. We want it to be a real research and technology park. And hopefully, inshallah, by the maybe 3, 4, 5 years from now, it will be the park that we are dreaming for. And we will be planning for other parks, inshallah, in different areas of Oman. But this is our first innovation and technology park in Oman.
What an incredible initiative to have a community of researchers literally just be together and work on developing the country. But you did mention when you were talking, you said the word innovators. It will be a park for innovators. And I wanted to ask you, how do you become an innovator?
Yep. Innovation is having a new idea that is commercialized. So if you have an idea, but it cannot go to the market and you cannot sell it out, it will just be there. So it won't be a real innovation. And if you have any idea that it goes to the market, but it's not new and it's not having added value of whatever it is, then it's not going to be an innovation. So it's like a multiplication of a new idea, plus it has to go to the market and be commercialized. And we're talking about different, doesn't have to be a tangible product. It can be a new service that you're providing that also can be an innovation. Whatever serves as an added value, or you can have the same product but with a less cost, for example, or in a faster way to get that product. I mean, you're adding something, a value, either by cutting the cost or make it faster or lower price. It will be it will be an innovation. And lately we've seen, mashallah, the Omanis students are very active and really enthusiastic into having new ideas and new products. And you can notice, like, probably on a weekly basis, we have a hackathon in different areas of Oman. If you remember, like 5 or 10 years back, never was mentioned. The word hackathon was never mentioned. Even innovation was not mentioned. But recently, it's there on a regular basis, and daily I can see on the social media people are talking about hackathons and innovation. So our young minds, our young talents are always really keen into knowing what innovation is, trying to be first on the first line. And I can see it even in the schools, not only in colleges, that are trying to compete and being the first innovator. They're starting to understand that this is a very interesting and a flourished future that we are looking for our young generations, is to really think outside the box and try to think of something that never happened before. It's very different from the way we used to learn in schools, and we were just given the books to study and have exams and all that. But lately, it's all about how bright you are, how imaginary you are. How can you think of new things that no one thought of before?
Wow, it's incredible to hear that the younger generation is doing so much, and it's such a promising future for Oman. And you did mention the hackathons as one example, but I also wanted to ask you, what are some of the other programs that you have done to promote research and development here in the country?
Yeah, when we started at the Research Council, that was in 2005, and then there were different programs that gradually started to increase to cover all the sectors in Oman. So we tried to make sure that no sector is left out. So there were, first of all, it's the universities, the academia that were most important, because it's there where the knowledge is developed, and it's there where you can really get researchers work hard, because they have got the labs, they've got they're learning about all of this information. So we focused on funding research in the academia. So we have this program. It's called the Block Fund program, which is there annually, and we, of course, they compete, all the universities, private and public, to be given this fund, and we do that every year. So that program covers all the academic part, and they are in different categories. So we have undergraduate winners, and also postgraduates, and PhD holders, and all of those. There's the research forum that we do every year, end of the year, where the winners are announced for different researches. Of course, this is different from the Block Fund is given to the universities to do the research, and then the researchers compete for the research prize at the end of the year as well. So that also covers the academia. And then we have another program for the ministries and the government, where the ministries and the government entities also can compete to do their research. So we have ministries like Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Health, the Environment Authority, and several other ministries who have started doing research as well. So they compete, and annually also we do fund the top of those researches. So this covers the government sector. And then we have the industry, where we have a very interesting program that, like, also the other countries, when they come and they hear about it, they become very interested to have the same in their countries as well, which is EJAD platform. EJAD connects academia with the industry. So it's a platform with an interactive platform with the back office, where they facilitate the interactions. What happens is the industry, when they have their challenges, they post it into the platform, and then the academia on the other side, they get to see those challenges, and they propose solutions for those challenges. So, and then the academia can choose from those proposals whichever they are interested in to join in and solve that challenge. So there will be like a contract between the challenge produced, the industry which posted the challenge, and the researcher who proposed the solution, and we will be facilitating the contract between the two. This has been there for like 7 years now, and there's so many contracts that were established and done between the two parties. So it's a very efficient way into solving the industry challenge throughout this platform. So you can get, and the benefit that academia has is that they get real world challenges. They're not just learning from the books and the academic stuff. They can see the real world challenges on that platform, and they propose solutions to solve those. So it becomes like a link between the two parties. And this is what we are trying to do now, because Oman is heading into collaboration between different entities. We are not in isolation mode anymore. So academia has to work with both industry, has to work with also the government researches are also being done in collaborative with the academia. So it's there, the universities are working in the real life problems with industry and with the government as well.
That's incredible. I didn't know that such a platform existed. And can anybody join to become a part of this?
Yeah, you can be a member of the platform. So you can be an EJAD member. And there are different services that are also given. EJAD team also, they help in helping you in knowing what your challenges are. So we have the technology mapping. What they do is that they see what their priorities are, what stops you from reaching your goals, how can we prioritize your challenges in order to reach your goals. So it's also involved in the entity's program, their vision, and how to reach to where they want to go to.
That's very useful. And based on all of this information that you've gathered, what are the most, let's say, prominent areas of where problems occur that you see on a day-to-day basis in Oman?
It's if we talk about the industry, of course, most of the entities, if we talk about EJAD, they're oil and gas companies, and there are different challenges we know in the oil and gas, starting from digging the oil and all the challenges that are faced there. And then we come into the environment as well. Now we've strongly, EJAD is involved in also the climate change and the CO2 emissions and the target we have for 2050, the zero emission. So most of the companies are trying to be there. So one of their challenges maybe would be how can we reduce our CO2 emission and all that. So, and also we have also related to environment, the fisheries area, some of the tourist area, but because they're not very much into research, that's why we don't get more challenges from that area. But agriculture, fisheries, environment, health also is an important sector. And we can see that all of these sectors are what Vision 2040 is focusing on anyway. So we are there to cover all these sectors and areas.
So essentially, this is the foundation and the basis of Oman Vision 2040. This is how it begins.
Yeah. Well, if we can say the first priority in the vision is learning, education, and research. That comes number one. And of course, that would mean that the first thing is education and research, and then all the other priorities will follow. If you focus on research and education, then all the rest will be smooth.
That's great. That's amazing to hear. And obviously, you've done a lot of great work so far, but what about the challenges that you see in the future in terms of fostering a culture of innovation and research in Oman?
It's our challenge. Our biggest challenge is to be there at the top, because while we are trying our best to be there, all the others are doing the same, and we need to keep alert of what's being done in the rest of the world. We have to be aligned with whatever is happening. We have to be more advanced and try to be ahead all the time. So that in itself is like pushing you to, learn and look out what's happening out there. How can we be more effective? How can we reach to what those countries are doing? And that will need more funding, of course. So expenditure on R&D. If we will see the top 20 countries, why they have settled there on being in the top of the 20 countries, because they're spending on R&D, some of them until 4-6% of their GDP. The average spending on the R&D for those top countries would be 2-3% of GDP.
Wow.
Yeah, and for us, Oman, we are way back. So we need to be able to reach there. We need to increase our spending, and increasing spending means that we will be able to introduce more advanced technologies, funding a bigger number of researchers, having more researchers. Until now, our number of researchers in Oman are still very, very low compared to the other countries as well. So we need to focus on that. So what we're doing is comparing ourselves and benchmarking to the top countries and see how many researchers they have, how much they're spending, how many IPs they're producing, all of these inputs and outputs. Even the business of the business ecosystem also affects the innovation in a country. So it's not just the Ministry of Higher Education who's responsible for raising the bar, but there are different ministries, even the private sector. The private sector are asked to spend 70% of the total expenditure of R&D in a country to be in that level. You start with 70% by the government and 30% by the private sector, and then you come into a state where it's a 50-50 expenditure, and then all the developed countries, they have 70% of the expenditure comes from the private sector. So we need to push the private sector to also keep spending and increase their spending on R&D to be able to reach to that level.
And what are the ways in which they can do that? Is it by offering scholarships? Is it by, enrolling more students in programs? How do they do that?
You mean the spending? The spending comes from the private sector on their own, solving their own challenges. Like in industry, most of our international companies who are in Oman, they would rather spend on doing the research outside of Oman. Mm-hmm. So spending on research outside of Oman will not count for research here, even though it will be utilized here, the solution will be solved, but because the research itself was done outside Oman, so it will not count for Oman. So what we're doing now is trying to convince the private sectors to utilize the researchers who are here in Oman, in our own universities, because they've got big knowledge right now and they can do that. Scholarships, we started years ago with sending students for PhD degrees, trying to have a wider circle of researchers in Oman. Now we have, but not as many as we hoped for, so we should work more on that. But what we're doing in Oman is trying to now, remember when I told you that we transformed our universities from being just academia to research-based universities? So now we are trying to have those universities not just research-based, but also produce entrepreneurs. And to produce entrepreneurs, you need to have the tools that will help the students to be involved in innovation. So you need to have incubating areas, spaces in the universities. You need to have prototyping centers or labs. You need to have TTO offices with technology transfer offices. Those three components make up an innovation center. So what we have done recently is a program to help universities to have innovation centers in each university. And we are hoping that in each governance in Oman would have an innovation center for all the community also, not only for the students at that university, but the residents at that place, that area can use the innovation centers. Having more innovation centers in the university will increase the number of innovators. And increasing the number of innovators in Oman, of course, will lead to being in the market, and all the related economy diversifications, aims, goals will be achieved.
Yes, and for sure things like this will encourage a love of learning and research for the younger generation. So
they will not just be in the university aiming to graduate, have a certificate to look for a job, but they will have another area too they can find themselves in. That's the entrepreneurship. So they can decide while they're in the universities that they would like to open their own companies, have an innovation-based entity, and of course they will get all the support from the ecosystem that we are now trying to build. And as I said, it's not just our ministry, but there's so many efforts even in the private sectors company, we hear of innovation centers being built or established in them, like the airport have established their runway, the name of their innovation center, the runway, where they solve the challenges of their own aviation sector. We have ASIAD and OQ also have recently established their innovation centers in their companies. So the culture of innovation is being really very much consumed by those big entities in Oman, plus the colleges, the universities, and also the schools. The Ministry of Education is also trying to have innovation centers in schools as well. So from 10 years back, where we never heard about innovation, and now we come into everyone is really talking, and it's being a trend for innovation. It's something that so funny when other companies come to us in Innovation Park Muscat, and they're trying to promote their company so that we can give them a plot in our place. So they'll try with whatever idea they have to convince us that they are innovation related companies so that they can get the plot. So everyone is really talking about innovation, about technology, about being at that advanced stage, which is really good in a very short time.
Yeah, it's amazing progress. And you did mention earlier in the interview, you said there's still a while for Oman. There's still a lot to go for us to reach the top. Mm-hmm. But how much do you expect research and innovation to contribute to Oman's GDP in 2040?
Oh, a lot. Because if we really focus on research and innovation, we are diverting away from the oil and gas, and this will make a huge difference. So oil and gas, as you know, until now, it's like 60 or 70% of the income of Oman comes from oil and gas. So research and innovation will really help in reducing that dependency, and we will have more variable options to have where income can come from in Oman. Plus also our talents. One of the biggest goals in our vision is capacity building, and we want all the young Omanis to have that intelligence and research mind and innovative minds. So having a big number, just imagine having that big number. We are graduating almost 60,000 students every year. Every year we have 60,000 students being graduated from universities. So if 5 or 10% of those are innovators every year, imagine a cumulative of intelligent students and innovators and researchers, that will make a huge difference. And our challenges in Oman will be solved by our own children, the new generations will be focusing on having us jump from where we are now to where we want to be.
Wow, it's amazing to think about. And this has obviously been a very fruitful conversation. But before we conclude the interview, is there anything else you would like to add?
I would just like to say that research and innovation should be not looked at as a separate sector. So we won't say like a research sector. Research and innovation is in everything in Oman. It's even in our communities, in our families. Now you hear people in their families, like a father and a son, talking about how to develop a certain product or how to become more innovative. So research is, we can say, it's like a new lifestyle of Oman. It's not just a different sector where we choose whether to focus on or not. It's not anymore a luxurious thing that we choose to adapt or not. Us choosing not to adapt research and innovation means that we are just giving up on reaching to our goals and saying that we don't really care about our vision, which is wrong, because everyone in Oman, every single person in Oman cares about achieving our vision. So to achieve our vision, you have to, it's not a choice anymore. So what I wanted to say is that R&D is a must, it's not a choice, and it's for all the young generations to think about it more seriously, which they are at the moment, to really focus on, to develop everything, even the people who are on their office desks now, they would also need to think of ways to develop their work, their processes, whatever is being done now to develop the governance and the institutional performance is also through research. So it's not only for the industry sector. Some people confuse and they say, okay, research is only for industry and to, for factories, and it's not. It's also in schools. It's also there in the when we say electronic government or smart government. This is all technology. This is all innovation. And it has to be a culture that's being adopted in families as well. Parents should not fear when their children are willing to go into this, because it's a risk. You don't know where you're going to end up, whether being in the market, or maybe you have to redevelop your product again and go back to square one and start over. So it's a long process and it's complicated. And you have to be patient, but you have to commit to it. I hope that more as the students will go throughout this process, they would seek help from whoever there rather than giving up, because it does need more patience and strength to be able to reach to the goal where you want to achieve. Others have done it, so why not us? We can also have innovators. We can have people building their wealth through innovation, and we can see that in our children, in our new generations, inshallah.
Inshallah, absolutely. Those words are very encouraging. I'm sure our listeners would love to learn more. How can people find you on social media or your website?
Physically, we are next to SQ, which is the biggest university in Oman, so they can always come there. Social media, we are also there. IPM and the Ministry of Higher Education, Research and Innovation, they will find us in the website also. In the social media, RI, that's Research Innovation, so RI account in the website, in the social media accounts.
All right, great. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. This was a fascinating conversation, and I wish you all the very best of luck, and I cannot wait to see what you come up with next.
Inshallah, and please do visit us.
Absolutely.
At the Innovation Center.
Inshallah. Thank you.